and the forest are about to be assaulted by bandits when they are saved by a giant knight in silver armor, who slays the bandits with a single swipe of sword. Hours previously, the knight awakens in front of a tree and is left perturbed by his situation. He then realizes that he's inside of the body of his game character, Ark, equipped with the best armor and unmatched physical and magical prowess. After remembering that he had fallen asleep while playing the game, Ark tests his wyvern/move and is amazed by the power of it. Next, he tries magic, casting a fire spell that incinerates a tree. He wonders how he can use magic even though his class isn't supposed to have such abilities. Ark concludes that he's able to utilize all of the previous skills from the upgrade path of his main skill, Holy Knight, which makes him incredibly strong. Feeling thirsty, Ark uses a spell called Dimension Move to teleport nearby a river stream. There, he removes his helmet but realizes his head is that of a skeleton. Knowing a skeleton would scare people and make him a target, he decides to keep his helmet on and teleports to a nearby town called Luvirt. While exploring, Ark encounters a woman arguing with an investigator. He's amazed to find out she's an elf, but soon loses sight of her. He then enters the mercenary guild seeking a license to join the guild, but the receptionist assumes he's already employed due to his impressive armor. Ark gives a convincing excuse, and the receptionist believes him but sets a trial to bring back proof of subjugating a beast, monster, or bandit to get license. As Ark leaves for his mission, the receptionist and a guild member speculate about Ark's background and the motivations that drove him to seek membership in the guild. In the forest, he slays a bull boar and an orc, and while searching for a third enemy, he witnesses bandits attacking a coach. He wonders if he should risk getting involved until he sees two young girls about to be assaulted and violently slays the bandits. They are the noble Lauren Luvirt and her maid Rita. As Lauren and Rita recover, Ark secretly loots the bandits' belongings before safely escorting the ladies to town. With the bandits and orc defeated, he successfully obtains his mercenary license and uses the bandits' money for his first meal in this new world. Contemplating the possibility of being stuck here permanently, Ark decides to embrace the adventure and excitement of his new life. Now we see a woman named Siona, who tirelessly works for her two children Marka and Helena, heading to the fields every morning. To help their mother, Marka writes a job request asking for assistance. Ark accepts the job to protect Marka while she collects the gatekeeper. When he knocks on the door, Marka answers and is surprised by Ark's size. But Ark introduces himself and explains that he accepted their job posting. After a friendly greeting, Ark is offered tea, and Marka asks if they can start right away. Ark agrees, and they leave for work, but he is curious about Marka's rush to begin, and she tells that her mother will soon be home and won't let her go as she became so overprotective after Marka's father passed away, and has taken up the task of collecting herbs, just like him. She just wants to help her mom and make her happy. Ark is deeply moved by her confession and resolves to help Marka with her herb collecting task. On the way, they come across an injured kitsune which Ark heals from his magic. The creature decides it wants to stay with Ark, and he names it Ponta for its fluffy tail. Back in the village, a hunter is distraught by something unusual he spotted in the forest, not the usual fang boar typically found there. At the same time, Siona returns to the village and learns from the gatekeeper that Marka went into the forest earlier with a knight. As Marka guides Ark to a tree containing valuable medicinal flowers, a giant basilisk unexpectedly emerges from behind it. Noticing Ponta's distressed behavior toward the beast, Ark deduces that the one responsible for injuring her was the monster. As the basilisk lunges towards Marka, Ark quickly pulls her out of the way and then dodges the monster's poison fog breath attacks. Ark analyzes the basilisk's moves and defends its paralyzing claws and whip-like tongue. He then uses the Holy Shield of Tudates to protect himself from the petrification attack. Then, Ark unleashes his devastating judgment attack, slicing the monster in half and ultimately defeating it. Relieved that the monster is defeated, Marka says that the villagers will celebrate the monster's death, but Ark wants to keep it a secret to avoid attention, and Marka agrees. He then spots a ring around the monster's ankle that disappears within a moment after it dies. Suddenly, a fanged boar appears before them, and Ark swiftly slays it. He then offers the creature as a gift to the villagers, so they can have its meat for a meal. Marka then reunites with her mother Siona, who gives her daughter a heartfelt hug, and Ark apologizes to Siona for recklessly allowing her daughter to go into the forest. Hunter and the village gatekeeper approach Ark and ask him if he encountered the monster that was causing havoc in the forest, but he denies it. As the sun sets, Ark and Ponta get ready to leave, and Helena gives Ark a beautiful flower circlet. Later that night, soldiers kill another basilisk, then come across the much larger corpse of the basilisk Ark killed. They notice it was killed by a single strike with an extremely large sword and wonder who killed it. Meanwhile, Ark enjoys himself in his room with Ponta and is thinking about taking on a tougher quest tomorrow. The next day, Ark takes on a job to confront bandits concealed within a forest cave. He successfully defeats them and claims their treasure as his loot. He also notices a couple of cages nearby, but doesn't pay much attention to them. Now, we see Lord Triton is enraged after knowing that the bandits he sent failed to assassinate Princess Lauren, and later the monster he sent to destroy her kingdom, also killed by someone. He did all this because Triton was ordered by Prince Dakars himself to destabilize the kingdom in readiness for war, and he is also furious that his son, Udalan, is risking himself by leading their illegal slave operation. In the forest, as Ark emerges from the bandits' cave, a female elf suddenly attacks him. Having seen her in the city before, he recognizes her. Ariana accuses him of kidnapping elf children until she spots Ponta, whom she identifies as a forest spirit creature. Since spirit creatures rarely trust humans, she realizes that Ark couldn't be a kidnapper. Arian tells Ark that the bandits were hunting elves, and those cages were meant for them. However, Ark tells her that he didn't find any elves in the cages. He then learns from her that elves are being sold at high prices in the slave market. Ark tries to offer his help, but she refuses his help and runs away. Despite this, Ark is determined to help, considering it a special quest. Back in his room at the inn, Ark enjoys his dinner and reflects on his time with Arian. Even though she didn't introduce herself, but still, he hopes to see her again and decides to search for her the next day. Teleporting near the elven forest, Ark and Ponta sense a presence. They find a young elven girl attempting escape but getting caught. Udalan, as mentioned before, is the leader of the bandit captors who not only taunts the girl for trying to escape, but also stabs her in the leg. Ark witnesses the scene, but before he can act, Arian suddenly appears and effortlessly takes down a couple of bandits with a single swift attack. A bandit recognizes Arian as a rare and valuable dark elf. Though the bandit thinks she could fetch a high price, Udalan doesn't care about her, leaving the other bandits to do as they wish with her. A large number of bandits then surround Arian, but she instantly defeats them and one of the remaining bandits recognizes Arian as an elven warrior. Once Arian takes out nearly all of the remaining bandits, she gets into trouble as Udalan holds the elven girl hostage. Ark sees a chance to help and appears behind Udalan, using his armor lariat attack to knock him out. Arian takes care of the remaining bandits, rescuing the elven captives. She notices that they are wearing mana-eating collars, which suppress the captives' ability to use their spirit magic. Ark steps in and casts Uncurse on one of the elven girls, followed by a heal spell to mend her wounds. Arian is astonished at how he accomplished such powerful magic with minimal incantation. Ark proceeds to remove the remaining collars from the other elven girls. Meanwhile, Arian summons her spirit creature, a whispering fowl, to send a message about the rescued elves. After a while, a pair of cloaked elves show up at the scene and take the formerly captive elven girls. With the elven girls gone, Arian acknowledges Ark's impressive skills and asks him about his true identity. However, Ark assures her that he is just an ordinary person with no significant status. Just then, the Whispering Fowl returns with a message from someone stating that the main perpetrator's headquarters is located in Dinto, and they plan to attack it soon. Upon hearing this, Arian asks to hire Ark for his services. Ark agrees to work with Arian, and they both travel to the town of Dinto. They meet Danka, an elf friend of Arian's, who initially doesn't trust Ark, but he is surprised to know that Ark can use teleportation magic and manage to earn both Ponta's and Arian's trust. Their plan is to attack a slaver's warehouse later. Ark leaves on personal errands, that is, a meal in private. Arian shares her worries with Danka, feeling like she failed in a recent incident where Ark had to save her. She compares herself to her accomplished sister, Even. Meanwhile, Ark buys some food for himself and Ponta and seeks refuge in a deserted alley to eat without his helmet. As Ark, Arian and Danka depart on their mission, a shadowy figure watches from a rooftop. Penetrating the warehouse, Ark and the two elves find that all the slavers have already been expertly assassinated, and Ark is overcome with otaku enthusiasm when the assassin turns out to be a female ninja with cat ears. The ninja trusts Ark when she sees Ponta and gives him important documents she stole, revealing the names of nobles who bought elf slaves and the location of other slaves held by Lord Triton. She also tells him that the elf slaves weren't her main target. After freeing the slaves, Danka becomes more impressed with Ark's magic skills and lets him and Arian go to confront Lord Triton alone. From afar, the female ninja and her tall companion watch, hoping to meet Ark again someday. Now, Ark and Arian skillfully land on Triton's mansion, grabbing the guards' attention. Employing his Wyvern Slash, Ark swiftly cuts the bell, creating a loud distraction that enables them to sneak inside. Meanwhile, Triton has two elven women restrained on his bed, preparing to take advantage of them. But before he proceeds, he scolds his son, Eudalan, for his recent failure. When Celsica informs Triton about the intruders in the mansion, the door behind him explodes. As the smoke clears, Ark and Arian stand at the newly created hole in the wall, declaring their intention to rescue the restrained elves. Arian swiftly incapacitates Triton, while Ark frightens Eudalan, stumbling upon a hidden room in the process. Ark intends to share this discovery with Arian, but she and the other elves are too occupied punishing Triton, which frustrates both Ark and Ponta. Suddenly, the mansion guards arrive, and Arian ignites her sword with a fire spell to fight them off. She instructs the elves to rendezvous with Danka, and they promptly depart. As Arian checks on Ark, she finds him busy looting gold from the hidden room. When caught, Ark claims that he's doing it to prevent the Dinto family from rebuilding, and Arian believes him. Several bombs are detonated across the mansion, so Ark and Arian teleport to safety. Despite the inadequate pay, Arian offers Ark to accompany her to the Elven lands where more elves are held captive. Ark feels elated but worries if he'll be accepted in Elven land due to his appearance. Arian says she'll discuss with the elders. Ark reveals he can't remove his armor and asks if she'd attack him if she saw his true face. Arian promises not to harm him. He shows his cursed face and explains his past. Arian trusts him, believing he'll be welcomed among the elves. She thinks the elder may help him change back into his original form. In Olav, the capital of the Rodan kingdom, King Karlon holds a meeting with his children, Princess Sect and Dakars, and Princess Uriarna. They discuss the recent events involving Triton, who was allegedly selling elves illegally, and causing the imposed treaty to be broken. The situation has raised tensions with other nations, and King Karlon assigns Uriarna to visit Limbolt to address the issues and negotiate any tensions that have arisen due to the broken treaty. The situation is complicated and requires a thorough investigation. While walking through a dense forest, Ark decides to use Dimension Move to scout ahead but accidentally falls down a small cliff near a running stream. They decide to set up camp there for the night. Later that night, Ark asks Arian how far they are from their destination, Lalatoya. She replies that they should reach there in 2 nights. As Arian is still hungry, Ark leaves to hunt a boar, leaving her with Ponta. When Ark returns with a freshly caught boar, he finds Arian cuddling with Ponta. In a playful mood, Ark decides to join in and cuddle with Ponta as well, which embarrasses Arian deeply. Back to Olav, Uriarna is served tea by her maid Ferna. Uriama shares her suspicions that her brother Dakars may be involved in the elf trade incident, and her other brother Sect might confront him about it. Ferna speculates that either Sect or Uriarna could become the next ruler, but Uriarna advises her not to speak so carelessly. She emphasizes that their focus should be on negotiating with the elves in Limbolt. Meanwhile, Ark and Arian reach Esto land of Lalatoya. There, Ark meets Arian's parents, Dylan and Glenys, who are grateful for his efforts in rescuing slaves but worried about the consequences of attacking Triton's palace. The next day, Dylan and Arian go to inform the other elders in Maple about the uncovered trafficking contract. While Glenys tests Ark's combat skills and defeats him, she teaches him that strength isn't everything. Meanwhile, Arian and Dylan listen to the elders debate on how to handle the humans violating the 400-year treaty that prohibits the enslavement of elves. But to avoid war, the elders decide to continue rescuing slaves in secret. Arian is surprised to learn that her sister Even, who never wanted to marry, is getting married. Even suddenly appears and playfully tackles Arian to the ground. Although Dylan sees his distressed daughter, he leaves the two sisters to talk about Arian's recent accomplishments and Even's upcoming marriage. Back to Ark, he finishes his sparring training with Glenys and later enjoys a soothing bath with Ponta. Eventually, Arian returns home and prepares to take a bath, only to find Ark already in there, causing her to act apprehensively. Afterwards, Dylan hires Ark to help Arian hunt down the names on the trafficking contract while also freeing any elves they encounter. He also shares information about a magic pool that might cure Ark's appearance, but warns that it's located near dangerous Dragon Lord's territory. Later on, driven by his curiosity about his condition, Ark tries a curse-breaking spell on himself. His right hand turns human, puzzling him about his skeletal appearance. Yet, the change is short-lived as his hand reverts to bones, confirming the curse on his appearance. Afterwards, he and Arian travel to Olaf to stop the slave-owning nobles. Along the way, they are warned by an innkeeper that haunted wolves have been attacking travelers. Meanwhile, Uriarna leaves Olaf for Limbolt. Arian contemplates the idea of hunting the wolves to obtain their tail fur as a special wedding gift for her sister Even. As expected, the wolves attack, and Ark realizes that the pack leader is wearing a magic ring similar to the one worn by the basilisk. By breaking the ring's power, Ark frees the pack leader from its trance, and the wolves retreat without harm. Ark believes these enchanted rings are responsible for the unusual behavior of monsters. While Arian works on processing the wolf's fur, Ponta senses trouble. They find Uriarna's coach attacked, and she, her maid Ferna, and guards are slain by traitors. Ark fights back with his invulnerable armor and help from the wolves. He uses a rejuvenation spell to revive Uriarna and some guards before quietly leaving. Uriarna, who is half-conscious, thinks Ark is an angel. Uncertain about the spell's morality, Ark keeps it a secret from Arian. In Olav, they witness a remarkable sight, a young woman with cat-like ears expertly fighting thugs. Ark recognizes her as the cat-eared ninja. Chiom, a ninja from the Jinshin clan, is looking for enslaved members of her group. She asks Ark how he knows about ninjas, and he realizes that the word was created by a human named Hanzo, who founded a ninja clan long ago. Chiom seeks their help, and Ark's employer, Arian, agrees. Dakirs, upset that the haunted wolves failed to kill Uriarna, and suspects a revenge plot against him, so his subordinate, Cetrion, sends him to a safe house. Chiom asks Ark and Arian to cause a distraction at the Etsat slave market so that she and her fellow ninjas can infiltrate other markets. Ark conceals his unique armor under a cloak and tribal mask. Chiom introduces Gomen, another ninja, to Ark. He realizes that Hanzo named himself after Hattori Hanzo and gave honorary titles to other famous ninjas, like Chiom and Gomen. Ark and Gomen, both powerful and tall, challenge each other instinctively but quickly become friends. They attack the market guards from the main entrance, trying to outdo each other. However, their competitiveness leads to a mishap, and they get buried under falling rocks. Meanwhile, Chiom and Arian prepare to attack the market from the rear. After learning about the attack, Dakirs sends soldiers to protect the slave markets. Arian and Chiom start freeing the slaves while taking down the guards. Gomen asks Ark to join Arian and Chiom while he holds off the arriving reinforcements. They manage to free the beast people easily, but inside one cell, they find dead slaves who were left to die because they were deemed unsellable due to being too old, injured, or sick. Ark teleports the surviving slaves to safety and then reunites with Gomen to defeat the soldiers and completely destroy the market. After the destruction is done, Ark and Gomen gather the bodies of the dead slaves for a proper funeral. Chiom vows to improve her skills to save even more people in the future. Cetrion kills Dakirs, revealing that he was secretly working for Sect all along. Since Uriarna has not been found, Sect frames the deceased Dakirs for Uriarna's apparent murder, making him the sole heir to the throne of Rodan. Uriarna arrives in Limbolt and learns about Dakirs' death from Siriarna. She suspects that Sect may have plotted her murder too, so she decides to keep her survival a secret for the time being. Chiom confides in Arian that Dakirs was associated with the Holy Rivlon Empire, and had sent them many elf slaves. Arian and Ark agree to travel there immediately. In the capital city of the Holy Rivlon Empire, Emperor Domitianus is impressed with Sect's actions in eliminating both Dakirs and Uriarna. However, he is surprised to learn that someone destroyed the controlling rings he had given Dakirs to control the wolves and basilisks. His subordinate confirms that Domitianus' agent, Fumba, is continuing to work to destabilize Rodan. In the desert beyond Rodan, Fumba smirks as he watches worm-like monsters emerging from the sands, capturing and devouring flying wyverns. After a thrilling encounter with a group of wyverns, Ark and Arian arrive at a village on the desert's edge. Ark notices that Arian seems unusually nervous and discovers that the slave trade in elves is legal in Rivlon, making her worried about traveling there. In the village tavern, they meet an elf named Karsi Held, who introduces himself as someone who studies monsters and coexists with the villagers. Karsi asks Ark for help in catching difficult monsters and offers a map of Rivlon as payment. Arian struggles with the idea of coexistence, and during a night of drinking, Ark finds out that she is both a lightweight and a bad drunk. Her antics while intoxicated cause rumors to spread that she and Ark had a romantic encounter all night, which only adds to her frustration. The next day, Karsi plans to capture a sandworm using goblin carcasses as bait, but Arian is still dealing with a hangover and travel motion sickness. As Karsi explains details about the sandworm they are hunting, suddenly Arian notices that cart behind them is missing, and the massive sandworm appears unexpectedly. Arian tries to save Karsi's companion but is attacked by the sandworm. She attempts to use a fire spell, but it fails. Before the sandworm attacks, Ark saves her just in time. Arian retreats to safety with Karsi's companion while Ark pulls the sandworm out of the ground and slams it down with incredible strength, causing it to lose consciousness, and a ring attached to it disappears. Later that day, the sandworm is tied up and brought back to town. There, Karsi gives the two their reward. Arian then asks Karsi why he lives amongst humans before they continue their journey. Karsi tells her that he once hated humans but grew to love them, sharing a story of love between a human lord and his elf wife. The lord had rescued the elf woman from slavery, and they got married, which changed Karsi's perspective. This story gives Arian hope for peaceful human-elf coexistence. Meanwhile, a man informs Fumba about the increasing missing people while he fondles two women by his side. Shockingly, it is revealed that Fumba is responsible for this, feeding slaves and kidnapped villagers to worms and monsters on behalf of Emperor Domitianus. Fumba shows the man the next monster for an attack and feeds one of his women to it, making the man sick. Now we see Ark, Arian, and Ponta arrive at the border town of Kasek. As they split up to find the captured elves, Ark discovers that strange cries have been heard at night from a fortress, and people are mysteriously disappearing. Before reuniting with Arian, he hears a woman screaming and finds her being confronted by 3 men in an alleyway. He rescues the woman from these kidnappers, who are attempting to collect victims for Fumba's controlled monsters. Arian arrives and, upon seeing Ark with the woman, suggests that she leaves. Terrified by Arian's eerie voice, the lady quickly scurries off. Later, these failed kidnappers meet a gruesome fate as they become food for Fumba's giant white tiger monster. Meanwhile, Arian learns that the captured elves were brought to the fortress 4 months ago and insists on investigating it. Sneaking into the fortress, they discover a secret passageway that leads them to an underground chamber where they confront Fumba. Suddenly, Arian attacks Ark, seemingly under the possession of Fumba. She knocks Ark to the ground. Fumba orders her to deal with Ark quickly, while Arian attacks him with her swords. Ark dodges and continues his unsuccessful uncursing efforts to free her. Then, he notices something in Arian's hood and asks Ponta for help. Ponta finds a bewitching imp inside, and once revealed, Ark uses Fireball to eliminate it. As a reward for Ark figuring out his trick for possessing Arian, Fumba reveals that he is a Razambanya monster sorcerer who can make monsters obey him, and Ark spots the rings attached to his belt match the ones he's encountered before in his travels. Figuring that Ark doesn't believe him, Fumba summons his white tiger monster to deal with him. Ark places Arian at a safe distance and questions him about the elves, but Fumba coldly reveals that most of the elves were used in the Empire's magic experiments while the remaining ones served as food for his pet monster. In a fit of anger, Ark slices off the white tiger head. Fumba then commands his other controlled monsters to attack, but Ark proves to be more than capable of slaying them, and kills the remaining monster too. However, when an ogre tries to attack the unconscious Arian, Chiom suddenly appears and uses her water ninjutsu to capture the monster inside her water prison, informing Fumba that the other Jinshin ninja have already taken care of his other monsters. Just then, the ground starts shaking, and Fumba flees, warning that his greatest monster has awakened. Ark teleports everyone outside, and they find themselves facing a fearsome 5-headed Hydra. As the Hydra attacks Ark, Arian, and Chiom with its fiery breath, Fumba assumes they have been defeated. He then commands the Hydra to destroy Kasek and feed upon its inhabitants. In a flashback, it is revealed that Fumba's clan elders considered him weak and undisciplined, leading him to leave his clan and serve Emperor Domitianus. However, Ark uses his holy shield to protect everyone from the Hydra's flames. Arian, even while bewitched, remembers Fumba's earlier words about the fate of the elves and vows to bring him down. They split up, with Arian and Chiom chasing after Fumba while Ark will face the Hydra. As the Hydra approaches Kasek, the city guards sound the alarm, preparing for an evacuation. Ark confronts the Hydra, catching its attention with Wyvern Slash, followed by Shield Bash and Armor Lariat. Fumba watches in astonishment as Ark evades the Hydra's flame breath with a dimension move, only to be caught by one of its heads. Despite being trapped, Ark defends himself with magic, destroying the head that ensnared him. Using his judgment skill, Ark manages to destroy 3 Hydra heads, but they quickly regenerate. Ark teleports to safety and summons Ifrit, a powerful ally, to face the Hydra. Meanwhile, Ponta leads Arian and Chiom to confront Fumba. Fumba attempts to possess Arian, but she swiftly kills the imps he sends. Chiom reveals a spellcrest seal on Fumba's back that helps him control his monsters. Fumba warns them that the Hydra is now uncontrollable and poses a threat to everyone in the city. However, Arian remains confident, trusting in Ark's abilities to fight the Hydra, and then proceeds to incinerate Fumba with her flame sword. While fighting together, Ark and Ifrit manage to defeat the Hydra. They punch it, causing it to fall to the ground, and when it tries to escape, Ark grabs it and throws it away. He then orders Ifrit to use Flame Hellion, completely incinerating the monster Hydra. After the battle, Ark returns to Arian and Chiom. Now, Princess Uriarna meets with Elven Elders Dylan and Lord Fangas, and they agree that the Rodan Kingdom will take responsibility for the crimes against the elves and defend elven territories. In return, the elves will support Uriarna in her bid for succession to the Rodan throne. Upon learning this news through Danka's whispering fowl, Arian feels uneasy and uncertain about the future. However, Ark and Chiom reassure her that everything will soon be fine between humans and elves. Meanwhile, Sect is troubled by the news of Uriarna's survival and successful negotiation with the elves. Uriarna contemplates her own destiny after her miraculous revival, while Domitianus learns about the destruction of Fumba and his monsters. Now, Chiom sees Ark's face without his helmet for the first time, and Ark decides to continue his travels alongside his friends. Show your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing, as with this